Hi everyone, in this video I'm introducing a Panasonic camera with an insanely good autofocus. You won't even believe it, right? But it's true. The new Lumix S5 Mark II finally comes with face detection autofocus, and there are plenty of other new features, so stick with me in this video where we will see what it can do and we'll compare it to its biggest competitor, the Sony A7IV. But before we dive in, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and hit the bell to make sure you don't miss the next video. Now let's see what Panasonic has come up with that's causing so much hype around the S5 Mark II. Unfortunately, Panasonic has always been known for having cameras with terrible autofocus because they build their camera lineup on contrast-based focus system. Many people didn't buy their cameras simply because they needed a good and reliable autofocus system. However, this is no longer the case, as the new camera has a sensor with face detection, which allows for a completely different level of autofocus. I'm telling you that with this camera, they have essentially gone from the worst autofocus performance to one of the best and can almost match Sony's performance with the new S5 Mark II. And this is a demo model with beta software, so it can only get better from here. But before we jump too far ahead, let's take a look at the external design of the camera, as there are some innovations compared to the regular S5. The body is slightly thicker than its predecessor, but it still maintains its compact form. It's very comfortable to hold and none of my fingers hang off the body, even though I have relatively large hands. The button layout has always been very comfortable for me with Panasonic cameras, as they are in the right place and almost all of them can be customized with different functions. One development is that they have replaced the old clunky neck strap holder with a fixed and much more stylish holder on the sides of the camera. Another innovation is that the electronic viewfinder sensor is now on the top instead of the bottom, so when we touch the LCD it's less likely to accidentally switch to the EVF if we are using it in automatic mode. Of course, they had to change the hated micro HDMI connector, so the camera now has a full HDMI. Additionally, we still find USB-C for external power, as well as a headphone and microphone port for connecting additional audio devices. The body has active cooling, which is achieved by small fans that suck in air under the Lumix logo and expel it next to the two dials, thereby cooling the body. In connection with this, Panasonic has now included a thermal management function in the menu, which can be set to standard or high, so that the camera does not shut down even if it detects high temperatures. In high mode, there is no recording limit in any mode, so we can record as much as we want, even in 6K at 30 FPS. I did not perform an overheating test or battery life test because I only have the camera for a short period of time, but other tests show that no overheating is noticeable in any mode, and a fully charged battery lasts about 2 hours and 15 minutes for 4K at 25 FPS, while it lasts about 1 hour and 45 minutes in 4K at 60 FPS and 6K modes. So it's not outstanding, but it's really not bad either. I tested the camera for several hours today, turning it on and off repeatedly, and it still hasn't run out of battery, so I don't think there is anything to worry about. The battery itself is the same BLK22 model found in the S5 and GH6. A few other things about the external design: of course it has a flip-out LCD screen and it has dual card slots, with both being UHS 2 capable, and the mentioned electronic viewfinder has received a little upgrade and now has a resolution of 3.7 million pixels. Well, we have talked enough about the design, let's jump to the exciting parts and start with the autofocus. The 24 megapixel sensor with face detection performs really well. The autofocus system has also improved in photo mode, but the performance of previous models was already acceptable, so I won't talk about it too much. Of course, it's incredibly fast, continuous focusing works well, and there are far fewer misses. The pulsing of the focus has almost completely disappeared. In video mode, the difference is huge and very noticeable. The total number of focus points has increased from 225 to 779, which helps the camera to focus even more accurately. Of course, we have the option of tracking, which works great, and we can also set up human, face, eye, and animal plus human recognition. The best combo that worked for me was human recognition and selecting the full focus field, so the camera recognizes us beautifully even when we are walking away from it or when we are far away. The focus is fast, accurate, and it doesn't pause during focusing, but adjusts the focus continuously. The autofocus is almost at Sony level, but we will compare it to the A7IV more closely at the end of the video. But what What about the image quality and recording modes? We can choose from an incredible number of options. Thanks to the 24 megapixel sensor, it can record in 6K resolution at maximum of 30 FPS, all in 10-bit color depth. What I really love, and more manufacturers should include in their cameras, is the open gate function, which allows us to record the entire sensor in video. So we get a 3:2 aspect ratio file that uses all of the sensor's pixels, and then we can crop it to the desired aspect ratio however we like. This gives us enormous freedom in post-production when it comes to cutting or reframing. We can also choose between UHD and Cinema 4K, both in 10-bit and 60 FPS. However, we have to be aware that above 4K 50 or 60 FPS, the APS-C crop is activated and we cannot shoot in full frame mode. We can go up to 180 frames per second in Full HD, and what's great is that we can also record it in 10-bit. The last mode is the 3.3K APS-C 4:3 aspect ratio recording, which is perfect for those using anamorphic lenses. So far we have got to know a pretty good camera, but wait, it's not over yet. What about sensor stabilization? Well, the thing is, I haven't seen IBIS this good in any camera yet. Based on my tests, it even beats Panasonic's own GH series, let alone other manufacturers. We have 3 stabilization options in this camera. The first is simple sensor stabilization, which already allows us to take incredibly smooth shots. I did 2 kinds of tests, one where I didn't pay attention to my steps at all, and one where I tried to walk as smoothly as possible and hold the camera steady. The next mode is when sensor stabilization is on and electronic stabilization is also on. The camera slightly crops into the image in this mode, but we can achieve a completely different level, and practically there is gimbal level motion in the end result if we pay attention to our steps. The last mode is Boost IS, which we have already seen in previous Panasonic models. This is not for motion, but for stationary shots, allowing us to take tripod-like shots. I don't even know what they did with this mode too, but it seems to work even better than in previous models. We also have a 4th mode for anamorphic recording, depending on the anamorphic factor we are working with. So as you can see, there is a high level of sensor stabilization, and I think it is currently the best on the market with the S5 Mark II. The camera's noise level may still be interesting, so I will show you some shots at different ISO levels. The camera has dual native ISO, which in V-Log color profile is 640 and 4000. I always felt that Panasonic cameras were a little noisier than the competition, but it's also worth noting that this kind of noise generally looked good in the shots. Otherwise, there is no need to worry about any serious stuff. I would say that you can easily use it up to 10,000 without rough noise, but in extreme cases you can go up to 25,600 and solve it with a little noise reduction in post-processing to get a nice usable image. As we approach the end of the test, there is one more important thing to know. Panasonic has also announced another camera at the same time as the S5 Mark II, the S5 Mark II X. I don't want to go in it too deeply, as it only has a few more features, which are the followings. It has received a darker design, it will be capable of ProRes and all intra-compression modes, we will be able to record to SSD via USB-C, it will be capable of RAW recording via HDMI, and we can even start live streaming wirelessly or via USB-C. It will have these few more features, which will cost an additional $200, so for those who need these features, this is a great news. But what we haven't talked about yet. I promised to compare the Panasonic S5 II to the rival Sony A7IV based on a few of their characteristics. If we start with the grip and ergonomic design, I would immediately give the point to the S5 Mark II. It's more comfortable, the body and the buttons are more prominent, which makes them easier to press. In recording mode, I have mixed feelings, as Panasonic offers many more options such as 6K open gate, Full HD 180 FPS and anamorphic capabilities. But all of these are only available with long GOP compression. On the other hand, Sony offers all intra option, which is easier to edit and has more information, so it's up to the user to decide which is more important. In terms of image stabilization, the S5 II is the clear winner, and the difference is quite noticeable despite the fact that the A7IV has also good IBIS. However, when it comes to noise levels, Sony seems to perform better with a much cleaner image even at low ISOs, ISOs and even greater differences at higher ISOs. As far as image quality concerned, I don't really feel a big difference between the two cameras. Both sensors have enough dynamic range, the colors are beautiful, and both S-Log 3 and V-Log color profiles are easy to grade. And the big question is autofocus. After many AF tests, I have to say that the two cameras are quite close in this respect. In fact, in face covering tests, the S5 II was almost always faster. However, if we look at the overall picture, I'll still say that Sony is better. Not by much, really not by much, but perhaps more consistent and reliable. But really hats off to Panasonic. I don't think anyone expected them to introduce face detection system and create such a great algorithm that can compete with the top tier autofocus systems. From here on, it's up to you to decide which camera to choose if you are torn between the two. It's also worth noting that the S5 II is priced at $2,000, while the A7IV is priced at $2,500, which is a significant difference. That's why I dare to say that at the beginning of 2023, the Panasonic S5 Mark II is the best value for money hybrid mirrorless camera on the market right now. But what do you think? Do you like Panasonic's latest camera? Let me know in the comments, I'm curious about your opinion. That's all I wanted to say in this one. If you liked the video or found it useful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and if you have any further question, please let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching and see you guys in the next video.